Welcome to BerryDunn's Leadership Insights podcast, where we talk all things learning, leading, and learning to lead. I hope our conversations will inspire your own leadership. I'm your host, Shawn Tuttle, and today our guest is Chad Snow, BerryDunn's Chief Operating Officer of Consulting Services. Hi, Chad.
Hi, Shawn.
Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited we're doing these.
Excellent. We always start with the same question, and I always find that it's really valuable for people to learn about others' leadership and professional journeys. So can you give us a brief overview of your professional journey, even as far back, if you want, as what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Sure. And I don't know, it'd be interesting to map where people end up in their career and what they had for a vision early on in their lives. Because I certainly didn't know what I wanted to do early on, and certainly had no vision of landing where I am today. But I started 10 years in public safety, was my first career, if you will. And when it comes to leadership, learned a lot in that role and with that profession. And then from there, moved into software sales, development, project management, implementation work for a company that sold software to governments, specifically public sector agencies. So that's where the transition happened from public safety into the public safety software world. And from there, and that's really where I cut my chops on project management and learned all of my project management skills came as a result of that 5-year career. And then from there, I responded to an opening here at BerryDunn, at the time, BerryDunn McNeil & Parker, for project manager to lead some oversight work for a project that was going to happen in Virginia. And I happened to have some inside knowledge on the client and sent my resume in. A couple days later, I had an interview here at the firm with Tim Massey and Charlie Ledbetter, and a couple days later after was offered the job. And that's how I got started here at the firm, working with Tim and Charlie early on, and built out our local government practice group as it exists up through 2021 before turning that group over to Seth Hedstrom and moving into the role I'm in now. So kind of a winding road to get here.
I find that most of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It would be interesting to figure out, like, you know, people who have been in their careers for a while, what did they think? I mean, at one point in my life, I wanted to be a waitress. So, you know, but I also wanted to, I don't know, I wanted to be a dancer and a lot of other things.
Yeah, I'm sure there's the exception where people know early on in their lives what they want to do and chart a course and get it done. And I always admire those folks because that shows drive and organization and, you know, sticking to what they have for a vision in their head. So I took a different path.
Yep, same here. So now that you're in your current role, what do you get to do that you enjoy the most, or that's the most meaningful for you?
So what do I enjoy the most is interacting with all the different people across the firm, especially in the consulting team. Obviously, that's my focus. And we have some tremendous individuals that we've hired over the years that are either early on in their career, BerryDunn's their first career. So you get to watch their development, right? They come in right out of college and you get to watch them move up through the firm. And then you have folks that are coming in, you know, they've been in the workforce for 3 or 4 years. This is sort of their second career. And you get to watch their maturation as well. And to me, that's really exciting. And I get a lot of joy out of that. And then we have that third group that we hire that this is truly a totally different career for them. They've spent 15, 20 years in the workforce. They've got deep expertise or skills or qualifications. And we hire them to be, you know, leading engagements and being subject matter experts on a certain topic or group of topics, and watching those folks interact with our younger or newer employees and watching the development that takes place. You know, we've got former directors at the state level, at the local government level. We've got chiefs of police that work with us now. You know, we've got doctors, and watching how they interact with the newer staff and the development that takes place. Because even some of the seasoned folks that we bring in need help with technology and the transition to the consulting world, because not all of them have done consulting. So there's, some back and forth learning that goes on. And to me, that's really cool. That's fun to watch. As far as what's most meaningful to me is making sure that we continue to do the right activities or the appropriate activities that continue to move us forward and continue to ensure, our long-term sustainability. They are just foundational activities that we do at the firm that have really impacted our success and driven our success. Everything from our business planning, setting our strategy, our vision, revisiting our mission and values. That's really important and meaningful to me, and making sure that we continue to do those things. And there are things that when you get busy, they're easy to overlook, but those are really important, and we continue to do those. And those are the things that are most meaningful to me, to make sure that we keep doing those things.
Can you talk a little bit more about the interactions between the early career folks and the folks who are coming in as experts in their own fields, and like the reciprocal learning that happens there?
Yeah, sure. So you think about it, you've got someone that's been a director of a large department at a government agency, whether they're a CIO or, they have other high level leadership role. Consulting is new to them. So there are things that we do in consulting that they need to be shown how to do, whether it's, how to navigate our internal systems, how to use our systems, and then just our approach to client work. Well, even if you've only been here for a year, 18, 24 months, you understand most of that by the time that you've been with us that long. And so those folks, even if they're fresh out of college, end up teaching the ones that we bring in that have been in the workforce for 20 years how to do some of those things. And they sort of introduce them to consulting, and they show them how to run some meetings from a consulting standpoint. Obviously these are professionals and they've been in meetings and, they've presented to executives, but how to do that is a little different when you're sitting on the other side of the table. And there's some development that takes place for those folks that are deep into their career and those that are just getting started, but they've had that experience, and it's really interesting to watch, and it's fun to watch. And the best interactions are the ones where those individuals that have been in the workforce for a long time recognize that it's happening, and they'll come out of a meeting, and I've seen it happen time and time again, where you've got someone in their mid-20s and someone in their early 50s, and the person in their early 50s are like, wow, this was great, really, thank you. You've shown me so much, you've taught me so much. And that interaction is just really rewarding to watch, because I know that the newer person gets a lot out of it, and the person, that's late in their career gets a lot out of it as well. So it's a great interaction between the two.
And what about from the, what are the early career folks learning from the experts?
That is all the body of knowledge that our experts bring with them, just the industry knowledge, the technical skills, the technical expertise, the work that they've done for 20, 30 years in whatever industry they've been in. It's really transferring that knowledge onto our newer folks, or the less experienced folks. And we've had some really, really great leaders that have come into the firm over the years. And the ones that are most successful are the ones that have the attitude of, I just want to help everyone else be experts as well, and transfer my knowledge and help build a practice or a practice group. And that's really impactful, because they have the perspective that they want to grow others. And that's really cool to watch.
It is, and pretty built into our culture.
It is.
Yeah. So, what you're describing sounds like reciprocal informal mentorship. We have a formal mentor program, but there's so much that happens informally. And mentoring is part of our leadership development within the firm. Can you talk a little bit about your experience in leadership development? You mentioned at the beginning that you had some impactful development when you were working in public safety.
Sure. I've had probably a handful of formal leadership development trainings throughout my career. They were okay. Where I learned the most is just by watching, figuring out who the good leaders were. And you were able to quickly figure that out by watching how people reacted to other leaders. and watching how they followed them and listened to them and supported them. And then you start to take some of the best qualities from those leaders and apply it to how you lead, and you build your own leadership toolkit. I like to watch a lot of situational leadership as well. People get into situations and how they handle a difficult situation. So I had the opportunity through public safety, through the software career, and early on here at BerryDunn, to watch how really impactful leaders handle themselves in certain situations, how they handle questions, how they handle situations where it feels like there's, it's a lose-lose situation. But they always take an approach that is best for the organization or best for the employees. And you start to learn over time and pick up on the traits that are really important and the type of leader that people will follow and listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How would you describe yourself as a leader?
I'm definitely a servant leader. I believe strongly in we hire great people, and it's my role in working with the principals and the practice group leaders is to make sure that those people have what they need to go out and be the best that they can be. I've spent a lot of my time removing roadblocks, making sure that everyone has what they need to move forward, and making sure that any of our administrative processes or any of the other challenges that may exist are not impeding our teams to go out and do the work and serve clients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what would you say are the qualities of successful leaders here at BerryDunn? What are some of the things that matter?
Yeah, and I know we've got our leadership competencies that we developed recently, and certainly those are really important as well. But when I start looking at folks and thinking about them in leadership roles, and I think about what's important to me and what makes an effective leader, drive obviously is one that comes to mind. Empathy, being an empathetic leader. I talked about how we've got folks that come at us from different points in their career, and they all have different situations too that they're working through, and they all approach client work differently, and they all approach their work life differently, and not trying to create an environment where only one type of individual is going to fit into our culture is really important to avoid, and just making sure that we've got empathy and we understand the individual and we're not treating everyone the same, because we do have different situations and people bring significant value to us, and we've got to make sure that we're providing an environment where they can flourish, and that comes with a heavy dose of empathy. I also believe good leaders are humble as well, and they express a lot of gratitude. I talked yesterday at our year-end wrap-up for the consultant team that we are very, very fortunate to have people like yourself and the other business operations teams that we have across the firm. And I call them teams, and they're our partners because they work with us. We're doing client work, which is one part of the firm, but then there are other parts of the firm that are equally important in terms of how we develop our people. There's the financial side of it, there's the technology side of it, the recruiting side of it, the compliance side of it. We couldn't function as a firm without the relationship we have with all of those teams, and expressing gratitude for those teams and making sure that as a leader, they understand that they're just as important as the folks that are doing the client work. So I think gratitude is really important as well. Collaboration, again, tied to what I just talked about with gratitude, but being a good collaborator, being able to approach a client engagement and working with a different practice group or a different practice or a different team is really important. If we don't collaborate, we've got a short future ahead of us. So collaboration is one of our strengths and our secrets, and then embracing change as well. The industries that we serve continue to change. The environments in which we serve our industries continue to change. The technology that we use to do our jobs continues to evolve and change. We have to lead good leaders, and we should embrace that change, and we should be a leader of change as well. We may not like it. It's just important we understand that we have to change. We have to continue to evolve so that we can stay ahead of our competitors, but we can also continue to be responsive to our clients as well. Mm-hmm. So that embracing that change is really important. Resiliency goes along with that as well. We've gone through some challenging times the last 4 or 5 years with the pandemic, and we had other situations that occur, and just remaining resilient and continuing to see a path forward. Setting a vision is also really important for a leader, and then making sure that you're building a strategy behind it to make sure we can achieve that vision. We've got, vision at the firm level, and then we've got team level vision, and then each of the practice groups have their, even if they're not documented, they've got their vision as well. So those leaders that lead those groups have strategies and tactics that are outlined in their business plans, and continuing to think strategically about how they're going to execute on those is really important for a leader as well.
You covered a lot of ground there. A few things that I heard were allowing people to be who they are in the work that they're doing. Open-mindedness to various kinds of conversations, and the importance of being able to, I don't want to say deal with change, but to kind of work within change, because it is such a constant.
It is a constant. If we think about, the firm was founded in 1974, and I think if those 4 founding partners thought about change and what the firm was going to look like 50 years later, they wouldn't have envisioned where we are today. That only happened through constant change, continuing to look at ourselves. Some of the change has been reactive. We've been proactive with change. And that's because we've had good leaders over the years that have had the ability to kind of see around the corner, what's coming, and how do we pivot to make sure we continue to advance the firm and we continue to adapt. We don't want to become a blockbuster.
Seeing around the corner sparks one of our competencies, so I'll just mention them for everybody listening. One is thinks and acts strategically, leads the business, leads with inclusivity, leads with compassion, collaborates across boundaries, and embraces flexibility and adaptability. And I think you hit on all of those in what you described as important, even though, like, in the way that you described it was much more full than just hearing those competencies.
Yeah, what was interesting when I met with Amanda several months ago, when she was taking first stab at developing the leadership competencies, she had these already drafted out, the ones that you just listed, and she asked me a similar question. And so I gave her the response similar to what I just gave you. And she then pulled the list up and we kind of compared them. It's like, yeah, that's really the secret to, especially at BerryDunn, the secret to good leadership. And I think everyone understands that. And that's one of the strengths of the culture as well. And for the most part, everyone understands the interaction they're going to have with a leader. There's an expectation that you're a leader at BerryDunn. This is how you're going to act. And this is what people can expect from leadership here at the firm. Decisions are made first in the best interest of our staff and of our team and of the firm. And then decisions are made in the best interest of our clients as well. But people, firm, staff are always first. And those competencies are a big part of that.
I want to just shout out to Amanda, who you mentioned. That's Amanda Johnson Prano, who's a learning consultant on the learning and development team. And she works with the consulting group specifically, but she's also the architect of our leadership development initiative. So big kudos to her.
Yes, huge. Amanda's fantastic.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to switch tacks entirely on you, and I am going to give you a few random questions to help our leaders get to know you a little bit better outside of BerryDunn. It could be inside of BerryDunn, it might be outside of BerryDunn. So first one, this is a softball. Do you have any pets?
Yes, I have 2 dogs and 2 cats. The cats are not mine. We have 2 dogs, 2 cats, Frank and Fiona. Both of them are, one is a Newfoundland, 150 pounds. And then the other one's a Leonberger, so right around 140 pounds as well. Yeah, so we get close to 300 pounds a dog. And then we've got 2 cats. The cats are great, but I'm just not a cat person.
Those are huge dogs.
Yes. Yeah.
What are their personalities like? Are they pretty chill?
Fiona's high strung. We call her the party girl. She's named after Princess Fiona in the Shrek movies. And then for those who don't know, I am a huge Seinfeld nerd. And so Frank is named after Frank Costanza. And his personality kind of fits Frank's personality as well. He's laid back at times, but then he can get high strung in certain situations. So yeah. I
can't imagine dogs that big getting excited and kind of jumping around. Mine is much smaller. Okay, so this one's super odd, but fun. Would you rather fight a bear-sized duck or 10 duck-sized bears?
Duck. Or 10 ducks. Yeah, I'd have to go with the bear-sized duck because then there's just one. It's one thing I'm trying to keep track of as opposed to 10. So, yeah, I'd have to go with the bear-sized duck.
It seems a little bit less intimidating.
Yeah.
Like, what's it going to do?
Right. Yeah. Still, yeah, I'd go with the bear-sized duck.
Yeah. All I
Yeah.
can picture when I think of that question is 10 duck-sized bears just like running around like puppies, chomping at everything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, too much.
Well, thanks for that. Something that you're currently learning.
Patience is an ongoing learning journey for me. It has been for years and years. I'm by nature an impatient person. I like results fast. I like to move quickly. And part of what I've been focused on probably the last 10 years is just slowing down and exercising more patience and waiting for the results and knowing if the results will come as opposed to trying to force things. So I've read a lot of books on the topic. I try to practice it at home with the kiddos, in all aspects of my life. But patience, yeah, it's a lifelong journey. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I do note that Achiever is in your Clifton Strengths profile, and Achiever is all about getting things done. So, that tracks. Speaking of which, can you just tell us what your top 5 Clifton Strengths themes are?
Belief, achiever, positivity, consistency, and responsibility. And I was a little concerned at first when I looked down the other Clifton Strengths Finder when we did it at the last spring leadership retreat, that I was the only one who had belief out of all the principals and the senior managers. So I don't know what that says about me.
Well, belief is very much about having a compass that guides you, a set of values that are critical to the way you live and work. And that can be really valuable in a role like yours, where there's some measure of consistent approach, and strong, I don't want to use the word belief, but strong appreciation for what's important.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And that ties into what we've been talking about this morning, kind of my belief system and my value system.
Okay, so last question. Something I'm really excited about right now is
the upcoming fiscal year 25. We had a few challenges in fiscal year 24. We didn't get the results we wanted. The team worked incredibly hard. We had some things happen outside of our control. We didn't get the results we wanted. And I know I speak for some of the other leaders in the consulting team that were anxious to wrap up fiscal year 24. We've put a lot of effort into the planning for this upcoming fiscal year that we're in now, in terms of our business plans, our staffing plans, our budget, revenue, sales plans. We've got great results heading into the year. We've got our large foundation of work in front of us, and that's going to create a lot of opportunity for our teams. And so I'm really excited about this upcoming fiscal year.
Takes us right back to managing change. It sounds like, a little course correction, and moving in a different direction, and being excited about it is awesome.
Yeah. I'm very energized heading into the upcoming fiscal year. We're in it now. We're a couple weeks into it now. Yeah.
Great. Well, I think our time is probably up. So thank you, Chad, so much. I appreciate you, and I'm sure our listeners do too. And thank you, our listeners, for joining us. I hope you continue to tune in to BerryDunn's Leadership Insights.